Good morning. Hello, hello. Come on in. It's the Charles Van Morgan Show. None other than we got a great show for you today. We're going to start off with showing you a video and we'll explain about what this video means. It appears like somebody in the government is doing something good, but they're not doing something good. They're a really evil person, in my opinion, and I'm not afraid to say it. This is unbridled news. This isn't Con News Network or Channel 8 News here in Knoxville. This channel tells you the truth about things and explains it in simple terms. So hold on for the ride. You're about to get some truth today, some truth that goes against the grain of what other people think. What they think is a dirty lie, and they're trying to sell it to you. And they actually, in their own heart and mind, believe they're good, but the things they do are evil. So we're going to explain some things to you today about evil people in the government and how they present stuff. And then we're going to tell you the truth from an educated perspective and a life lived and knowledgeable perspective. And what you can get out of this is a little spin back to reality, because people in the government lie to you, and it makes a little bit of sense what they're saying. And if you didn't know any better, which I'm about to tell you better, then you'd think, hey, that's all right. That's a good person, what they're doing. But I'm going to tell you what they're really doing, what's behind their evil ways. You know, Satan presents himself as an angel of light. I'm good. Presented himself to Adam and Eve in the garden as somebody that was good and lied to him. And that's how people in government power do. And we're going to show you a prime example of a liar in government power and how he presents himself as an angel of light wanting to do good. This is about lying Lowell Russell. Lowell, this show's for you. You know, you thought you'd shut me up. You didn't get it done. You didn't run me. I got something that you will never have. It's called the truth. Won't you go with it? Because it ain't going away, and it's bad for your health. You can see the screenshot. God judges in the earth. Change your ways. Turn to God, Lowell. It's what you need to do. So everybody praises this man, and he's elected official. Well, I'm going to tell you what a dirty liar he is. That's the truth. So welcome. Hello. And we're going to start off with showing you this videotape about somebody really evil and wicked and show you how he presents himself. And then I'm going to tell you the truth about it, which is completely different than what they're trying to sell you, people in government power. And I'm going to tell you some real astonishing facts about people that praise him. Their credibility is even in question. Question everything these dirtbags tell you. They're lying to you about everything. And they present themselves as good when the good is for their good. And they're gluttons. They're not even good for themselves. So I'm actually helping them. People think that I'm a mean, dirty person that spews out a lot of evil. I'm telling the truth for their own good. And they can say whatever they want to. This is America, so can I. So hold on for the ride. The value you'll get out of this is a very different narrative from what they're telling you that makes complete sense because the truth lines up. Their lies don't make any sense. And if you look at what they're actually saying, wow, you'll say, wow, I never thought of that. That's pretty evil what that person's doing. Yeah, but the way they talk and the way they tell it and the way they grin and the way they smile and their position of power, you'd think they're the greatest thing in the world. Well, I'm going to tell you, maybe not. So just listen to me. I'm not afraid to say it. Everybody else is. They're afraid of the power. Oh, they'll get them. No, I'm not afraid of the power because they have no power other than what God allows them. I fear God, not any man, not any elected state representative. So we're about to tell you the business. The business is I'm not afraid of them, and you shouldn't be either. Follow along. If you like the show, like, share, and if you won't subscribe, contribute. We're following a lawsuit right now. We're going to show you, start off with a video, and then we're going to explain what the dirty's actually doing, and they explain it as like they're doing something good, but they're not. So we're going to show you a video here of lying Lowell Russell and what he actually does, and then what he says he's doing. And good morning on this holiday, Martin Luther King celebration. I love that holiday. That was then and this is now. Let's have a change in the government for the better of everyone. Black, white, brown, today, let's have this revolution fighting people in government that are lying to you about pretty much everything. And we're going to show you a little video today and explain it to you. A video from, it says, lawmaker asks THP for tally of troopers tied to repeat sober DUI arrests. As many of y'all know, it's in the news now about THP making a lot of unlawful DUI arrests. We're going to look at that, and the state representative's taking care of that. Lowell Russell, he's the knight in shining armor that's going to take care of that. Well, let's see what lying Lowell Russell's actually doing. You want to hear the truth about a lawmaker that presents himself as an angel of light and is really a pretty evil person? That's not even good for herself. Look at the screenshot. Look what he did to himself. He's not very smart. And let's show you this video here. Watch this now.
Fox 17 News Investigates was the first to tell you about the TBI underreporting hundreds of sober DUI arrests dating back to 2017. That's essentially where persons charged with DUI only later to be cleared when the blood test confirmed they weren't impaired. Our Kelly Amelino broke this story, and tonight she's speaking with a state lawmaker who's now asking the Tennessee Highway Patrol to identify troopers who made multiple sober DUI arrests.
Yeah, hang them out, Lowell.
New data
hang them out.
This week by Fox 17 shows 2,547 sober DUI arrests in Tennessee from 2017 to 2024. That's more than 3 times what was originally reported by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. I spoke to State Representative Lowell Russell.
Lowell Russell. He's going to fix it.
To gather that data last year.
Keep in mind that the first time they ran it, they never did it before. So, human error or whatever reason is that they figured out how to get the
whitewash it.
A TBI
we'll talk about that.
Says the agency's computer system didn't really track the data needed at the time, but a new law passed, sponsored by both Russell and Senator Ramesh Akbari, requiring TBI
a Democrat. He's working with Democrats, a Republican.
Then created a better search methodology.
It just shows that it is a problem. It's not just anecdotal.
Democrat
and fortunately, that's really
and Lowell Russell, Republicans, helping a Democrat stop law enforcement from protecting you.
Also learned that Representative Russell also sent this letter to the Tennessee Highway.
In regards to the recent news,
request to the Highway Patrol.
It asks how many troopers had negative results.
Yeah, hang them out, Lowell. Hang them out.
And if any of those troopers
hang troopers out, Lowell. That's a good thing to do, right?
Got the numbers.
Yeah.
We got to do a spreadsheet and figure out if there's any kind of issues we need to look at in details.
And TBI notes that there are some substances that their labs don't test for at this point that might not.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Senator Akbari says she does plan on working.
So Lowell Russell, Lowell Russell, is going to hang out Tennessee state troopers. Wow, what a mess that is. So let's get right into the dialogue. We're going to talk about lying Lowell Russell. This show's for you, lying Lowell Russell. It's covered under the First Amendment. You could sue me for defamation, but I'd be glad to go argue about what a dirty liar you are. You picked the wrong fight, boy. You and your brother picked the wrong fight. So we're going to talk about lying Lowell Russell and how he's endangering you right now with his illicit legal action in a court of law. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Lying Lowell Russell. We're going to talk about him. So here we go. Charles Van Morgan live. The Charles Van Morgan Show. Welcome, welcome. You are in the Charles Van Morgan Show. It is unbridled news. And we're going to give you a little different take on what they're telling you. And it is reality. They're lying to you. So here's the circumstance. So we have across the state of Tennessee about over 2,000 people that were arrested for drunk driving, more than that, but about 2,000 of those people last year were arrested through the years and recently, and about 2,000 of them, over 2,000, about 2,500 come back with no drugs or alcohol in their system. So they were evidently falsely arrested. Now that doesn't tell the full story, because some of them could have had other drugs besides what TBI tested for. So they're not telling that story. So some of them may have been under the influence, just not under the influence of drugs and alcohol and the type of drugs that TBI tested for. So that's not truly the complete picture. Some of them might have been guilty, but I was a drug recognition expert. So I had advanced knowledge and training that Lionel Russell doesn't. He doesn't know anything about anything he's doing, and I'll explain to you exactly why. And there are drugs that TBI doesn't test for. If you're a drug recognition expert, you can specifically request the drug that you think they're under the influence of. Stimulant, cocaine, or some type of stimulant that TBI doesn't necessarily test for will have different effects on a person. And if you are a drug recognition expert, you can pick that up and specifically request TBI to test for that drug that has impaired the driver. And a lot of troopers don't know that. They're not trained. So they're not adequately trained. They're doing the best they can with the training that the upper level echelon has. But Lionel Russell's not going to deal with the upper echelon. He'll get rid of troopers like he's done in the past, illegitimately endangering your safety. But he won't tell you that. He won't attack. What literally needs to be attacked is the upper echelon that's failing to provide troopers to give them the proper training that they need in order to lower the fatality rate. What he's going to look at is if there's troopers that have made a lot of drunk driving arrests and may have been wrong in some cases, or they may have not known what to ask TBI to test for because they're not trained, although the person was obviously impaired. So what I'm saying is, Lionel Russell, and I know this man personally, I've met him. He's a complete total dirtbag, liar. He's filthy, and some of the things he does are so ungodly. Now, you would know that. It ought to be a clue that he's a government representative, and it ought to be a clue that he's a Republican. If you voted Republican, you voted for the policies, for the most part, of Donald J. Trump, and you support that agenda. Well, why, if you're a Republican, would you support the agenda of a Democratic person? Maybe you're just a fake Democrat or a fake Republican because you just ran on the party to get elected, the power, and it's the power you're after, not after the agenda that people vote for. So he's on this video right here. And he initiated the TBI compiling a list of people that they tested that were completely sober didn't have the drugs in their system that they tested for. Didn't have any alcohol. A lot of people are impaired on stuff other than alcohol, or didn't have any drugs in their system that impaired them that they tested for. There's a lot of drugs that impair people that they don't test for. You can breathe stuff out of a can and get air and paint. A lot of people get high off paint cans, but that won't show up in a blood test. So if a trooper arrested somebody because they were impaired due to huffing paint, then that would not show up in a blood test. And that could be one of the 2,500, but he doesn't tell you that. The point is this: if you have troopers out doing the best they can to arrest drunk drivers and getting it wrong sometimes, and the court systems adjust that, and they need to make sure that these people are adequately compensated. But when you arrest someone falsely for drunk driving, that is a horrific event, and it should never take place at all. But the consequences is one innocent person getting arrested. They ought to be cleared. They ought to be compensated for it. And every due legal consequence of somebody's rights being taken away. I get that. That's absolutely positive. But a thing to do for that person, they ought to be cleared, they ought to be well known, and they ought to be compensated financially by the state of Tennessee. But that is the damage that is done. And this is what he's doing as an angel of light. When you tell troopers, if you make a mistake against something that's hard to determine, in law school, Lil Russell never went to law school. He doesn't have a legal education, doesn't know what he's doing. A lawmaker without legal education, thinking he doesn't have a clue what he's doing. And I'll tell you what he's doing. He's making it more dangerous on your roads, because what he's going to do, you've seen the videos, he's going to go after troopers that have made a mistake on the road, arresting somebody that they thought was intoxicated that wasn't. Now, they're trying to paint the picture that troopers across the state are evil, wicked people. The ones that work the road, for the most part, are really good people that risk their lives every day for your public safety. He's not going to tell you that. He's going to take care of the troopers. Yeah, he couldn't even take care of himself when he was a trooper. I mean, that's a fact. Look at the picture icon. Look at the wreck he was involved in. He did that to himself by not paying attention. But he's the angel of light going to solve everything. He can't even take care of himself. That's the truth. That's a fact. And I'll tell you how he got promoted. Should have never been promoted. Money got him promoted, not in education, not qualifications. And now in his high status, working Republican, working with a Democrat. I mean, really? I know you should reach across the aisle for some things, but Democrats all the time, they want to defund the police. Well, Russell's helping them defund the police, picking on people at the low end of the totem pole. Well, why don't you talk about Colonel Matt Perry that's trying to demolish the First Amendment and the Fourth Amendment by saying he'll give you the ride without even you're guilty, just because you won't ID yourself, and they know there's no question about your rights. But he won't get rid of Matt Perry. Those are people at the top, and that's who Lowell Russell and the establishment protect. They protect all the people at the top. They're more than happy to hang out troopers at the bottom to say we're good people. They do that all the time. That's what he did to me, and that's what I'm here to tell you. Almost 2 million people, maybe at the end of this video, I hope, have seen this channel and spreading the message. Unbridled news, a little different. They flip the truth into wrong. They call evil good and good evil, and I'm flipping it back around. I'm calling evil evil. I don't give a damn what position they're in. I know them. I've met them. It's not some guess. I have literally met the man. He's a dirtbag. He's a liar. And the way he got promoted was money, not because he knows how to protect the public. The way he got elected into office is because powerful people in the government said that he was a good person. So it's the government telling you the government, and the government's good. The government tells you who to vote for. I mean, really? How ridiculous is that? And we're going to spell it out for you completely and show you how Lowell Russell got elected and how he's bad for you. Even right now, he's acting like he's a good person. That makes sense. Oh, we're going to get rid of troopers that are making mistakes. Troopers make mistakes every day. They're in life and death situations. Thank you, Tennessee state troopers, the mass troopers on the road that work the road every day, that don't hide behind an office or legislative power. The troopers that work the road, I'm on your side. And I know a lot of good supervisors, some have been run off, that are behind you and will protect you. And I appreciate what you do. God bless you, and I pray for your safety. And I thank Tennessee state troopers and police officers at the bottom of the rung that get hung out, and the upper echelon can do whatever they want to, and that never get the credit for what you do. I thank you. I've had my boots on the ground. I know where you're at, and a lot of them hate me because they know they'll get promoted if they run me down because I'm running down your brass. You better hope that people listen to me, because they'll run you off too. You don't understand the level of degradation that these people, they care nothing about anybody but their power. That's what they're fighting for. In law school, they even taught this in law school. Lowell never went to law school. That a arrest for drunk driving is difficult to discern at times. There can be people that are very impaired, dangerous to drive, because it affects their perception reaction. If you're pulling up to a red light and you're completely sober, then you push the brake. Or if a car pulls out in front of you wrongfully, you can slam on the brakes. You have reaction. Your reaction times are, when you're not impaired, are faster. That's why driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs lowers your reaction time, or at sometimes your perception is completely distorted, makes it dangerous for you to drive. You're not in your normal thinking, you don't have your normal reactions, and it slows you down and causes wrecks. They didn't realize this until about the 1960s, when people were dying all over the United States in car wrecks, and they said, well, why are all these people dying? And they determined, well, they're drinking, they're drunk, or they're impaired on drugs. So they put it together and they started making laws about you can't drive when you're impaired. Before that, they didn't know that. They didn't completely understand that. Laws haven't always been against drunk drivers. And it used to be a joke. When somebody was drunk, the sheriff, Andy Taylor, drive them home or drive them to the jail. Now, because of the mass fatalities that it caused, people understand that it is a serious problem, that it causes death at horrific levels. Governor Haslam would like to tell you that wearing a seatbelt, not wearing a seatbelt gets you killed. He did a commercial after they got rid of me that I lowered the fatality rate. I got more dangerous people off the road than any trooper in the state. Those are verifiable facts. I know the junk and the trash they lie about, but they can't lie about that. I got rid of more dangerous drivers, alcohol and drugs, than any trooper in the whole state of Tennessee for more than half a decade. That's just the truth. Now they say that they lie about it, and Lil Russell lied about it, but they got rid of me. And then Haslam said, well, it's because seatbelt use. He did a commercial about seatbelt use. Seatbelt use doesn't cause, if you don't wear your seatbelt, it doesn't cause mass fatalities. If you don't wear your seatbelt, it doesn't kill somebody else. They're lying to you. And he did that to act like he cared about fatalities. Haslam doesn't care about your safety. He could care less. He cares about power. That's what they care about. That's what they fight for. That's a demonic influence. But on the road, practically, the truth, unbridled news from somebody that knows what they're talking about, from somebody that has a law degree, from somebody that has a Master of Arts in Sociology, and even better than that, like you people, most of y'all. And if you have an education, kudos to you. If you don't have an education, kudos to you if you've lived life. And most of my viewers are older, and you have some sense. And even younger people have sense. When I was younger, I listened to older people. But on the road, testing people for drunk driving is not a precise science. It's very difficult to do. I was highly trained and didn't get it wrong. You didn't see a big trail of people that weren't under the influence, that weren't dangerous to drive. Every one of the people that I arrested were drunk or impaired with drugs and weren't safe to drive. I didn't make a bad arrest. I wouldn't have made a bad arrest. But the point is this: if you're a trooper on the road or a police officer on the road, and you come into contact with somebody that's impaired with alcohol or drugs, it's not easy to determine whether they're too dangerous to drive or not. It is a very difficult, hard decision. So when they paint these officers, troopers out, as Lil Russell's trying to do, as people that are intentionally trying to arrest people that are not under the influence for numbers that the department puts pressure on them, that is pointing the finger in the wrong direction. And they always want to point the finger down because people at the bottom don't have power. It's the people at the top. And if you start pointing the finger where it belongs, at people at the top, at Colonel Matt Perry, at the governor, at the former governors, then you would take care of the problem about highway safety. Let's see how many people got in here, and I'll explain to you about drunk driving and about how important it is, because it's keep people killed every day. Making a mistake is one thing, that the consequences are dire, but they're not life and death. People that experience a wrongful arrest are still alive. They can be compensated and they can be praised. And people that don't get arrested for drunk driving, that drive down the road, that kill your family, that's irreversible. But they don't want to talk about that. They want to act like they're good people doing a good thing, and they're not. They're trying to harm you for their own self-righteous, self-promotion purposes, trying to say they're an angel of light. And we're going to talk about Lil Russell and talk about what he done when he was on the road. Let's look about his performance, what he did. Let's see how many people got in here. Thank you all for joining me. God bless you all. So we got quite a few people in here. Thank you all so very much. If you like the channel, subscribe. So when Lil Russell was on the road, I worked with him for a few months. Rarely, I think he made one drunk driving arrest. He had one person to supervise. That was me. He treated me wrong. He tried to deter me from getting dangerous people off the road. Lil Russell tried to deter me from getting dangerous people off the road. He was jealous. I was qualified to have his position. He came from Nashville out of internal affairs, learning how to lie on people. Internal affairs in Nashville is not an agency, and they're investigating stuff all over the state of Tennessee. That'll scare the hell out of you. A bunch of liars investigating the actions of officers on the road, because they they get rid of good officers, and they keep officers that challenge the system for your good, that are out doing their job, that are less powerful. So Lionel Russell got promoted not because of education or experience or knowledge. He got promoted because politics, because somebody in the government recommended him to get promoted. I think it probably cost him $500 to get promoted based on somebody's paying a state representative to promote him. Here it is in the paper. It says here that Robert Cooley is involved in THP. Now this is back in 2004, before Lil Russell was promoted. Why he got promoted to a high level position, and he don't know what he's doing. So February 27, 2006, Nashville Deputy Governor Dave Cooley, this is from Fox News, stayed involved in politics and promotion at the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Bredesen, let's see, as much as a year later, records show Cooley was still accepting and forwarding recommendations for those to be promoted or hired, and they were. So Cooley, under the governor, Bredesen at the time, was recommending through politics, not through performance or education, and he recommended Lionel Russell get promoted because of politicians he knew. So it says here, he recommended, this is Cooley, he's recommended that Lionel Russell get promoted. He also recommended that dozens of letters from people across the state wanting to recommend troopers and trooper candidates for higher promotion. So he's doing it for political purpose. Some candidates for higher promotion. Some of the letters were sent after he had been told to stay away from THB, but he forwarded them anyway, according to records. So they're protecting the governor. The governor knows what's going on, saying he didn't know, deterring responsibility. He knew. Bredesen knew. Haslam knows. Bill Lee knows. They know. They just detach themselves from knowledge. They didn't know anything about it. Well, then they should know, shouldn't they? Either way, they're not doing their job. And they're saying, we told him he did it anyway. Yeah, right. I mean, really, you believe these people? Political liars. So here's what happened. Bredesen contributed Charles Lee of Mansfield, who gave the governor 2002 campaign $5,000, record show. So Mr. Charles Lee gave the governor's campaign $5,000. Gave Bredesen $5,000. So Mr. Charles Lee wrote Cooley. Lee wrote Cooley, July 29, 2005, asking that Trooper Larry Russell be advanced to sergeant. 5 days later, Cooley forwarded the request on to Phil Bredesen. Then Safety Commissioner Russell's name was then added to the proposed promotion list, and then he got promoted. So Lil Russell, the one that's in that video saying, I'm an angel of light, I'm going to get rid of troopers at the bottom. What you're going to do, Lil, is you're going to increase the fatality rate and even increase your danger. I'm trying to help you, you idiot. I mean, how's the neck? I mean, I'm just saying. God help the man. Not even good for himself. So what he's going to do, and I'm going to tell you what they're doing. What he's doing is he's going to deter troopers from making drunk driving arrests, because if you don't make a mistake, if you don't do anything, you don't make a mistake. And if you don't make a mistake and arrest drunk drivers, then the fatality rate's going to skyrocket. You stand behind them. If there's a problem, the problem is not with the troopers, because it is very difficult. It's not easy. They try to say it's easy. It's very difficult. Even in law school, they tell you it is very difficult to determine if someone's under the influence or not. Sometimes they may be very intoxicated, but it is not an easy thing to determine. It is difficult. That's why they have standardized field sobriety tests. That's why they train me as a drug recognition expert, because it's not easy. Now, some of them are easy. When you have somebody bouncing off a telephone pole and falling out of the car and beer cans all over the place, that is easy determination. They're under the influence. They need to be arrested, taken to jail. And some of them are so drunk they can't even do sobriety tests. But there is also the case where somebody is extremely impaired and they can talk to law enforcement in a relatively functional manner, and they have to be over the limit, over 0.08, or impaired to such an ability that they're not safe to drive. And they can appear safe, but in a car, they're not. It's not an easy thing to determine at times. There are millions of people out on the roads every day that are intoxicated that officers have to deal with, and they have to determine if they're over the limit or not. It's not an easy thing. It's an easy thing to sit behind a desk and later hang people out that have made an honest mistake. Now, I don't believe troopers are out for the most part, making mistakes, throwing people in jail, except for the fact that the upper echelon puts pressure on them because they know that it makes stuff safer for them when troopers are out arresting people, howbeit even people that aren't under the influence, because the more the merrier, the more the better, even if they trample on your constitutional rights. But he is presenting the image that they're going to go after troopers that have made multiple bad decisions, and what he's going to do is he's going to fire them and hang them out and act like they're the evil ones, when they're absolutely not. Troopers should be backed up. If there's a problem, they need more training. And that's the image he's trying to facilitate. Now, he's going after troopers that made bad drunk driving arrests, that at least they're out doing their job and trying to, and you could review every bad arrest that they made, and the person might be still falling over or did horribly on the test, and according to state law, someone can pass a sobriety test. According to Tennessee state law, case law, someone can fail a sobriety test, and an officer can still arrest them for drunk driving, for driving under the influence of alcohol and or drugs, because you can't tell sometimes just based on the test. There's other things involved. So someone could pass standardized field sobriety test, the horizontal gaze and nystagmus, the walk and turn, and the one-leg stand test, or the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration tested procedure to determine whether somebody's under the influence of alcohol. If they make a certain number of errors on those tests, depending on their age, older people can't pass them. Some people, I think it's 65, can't pass them stone cold sober. You lose your balance and abilities after you reach a certain age. And within limits, some people just don't have good skills. They don't have good abilities, and they can fail them stone cold sober. So they're within percentages. You know, a young person in their 20s that's an athlete could pass a DUI test. I knew this, could pass a DUI test very drunk, where they'd be very dangerous, but they can stand on one leg for 30 seconds. They can walk and turn a beautiful line, but you get them in a car and they'll kill somebody. Their mind is impaired, but they pass the test. So you can't always go 100% on those. And if they pass the test and you know they're drunk, you can tell by talking to them, you can know by how they drove, but the sobriety test shows they passed it and they're 20 years old, they're just gifted athletically. And I know that happens. I was experienced. I did more sobriety tests than any trooper in the state. It's not easy to determine. It's very difficult. Lil Russell don't know that because he never stopped anybody. He never did a damn thing except for self-promotion. Bought his way into the sergeant with THP. And while he was a sergeant, committed a horrific act of dishonesty against me that's caused hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands across the state of Tennessee, to get killed. That's what that man has done. That's the truth. I'm not on the road today getting real drunk drivers with my education level and knowledge because of Lionel Russell. He lied on me. I was involved in a pursuit trying to protect a drunk driver from himself. The angel of light, Lionel Russell, painted it like I did something wrong because I drove past, the man left my sight and wrecked out of my sight. I didn't have a trail. If you got a trail, you see a car go off the road and wreck, you see it, you go right there, you see it. But if it leaves your sight and wrecks and you didn't see the wreck, you drive down the road, you might miss that wreck unless you're just a genius or something out of the ordinary happens to make the car more visible. So the car wrecked out of my sight. I didn't have a trail. I didn't know that. And I know the truth. I know that I seen the car, but I seen it as a parked car. I seen the tail end that had no damage. There was no way on the face of the planet that anybody, unless they were Superman, would have identified that car and knew it was a wreck. But Lionel Russell had a vendetta against me because I filed a legitimate complaint against him because he was retaliating against me. He was lying on me, and I wanted to stop it. I'm a fighter. But he thought he got me fired and he'd go away, and he got promoted because he bought it, because of evil, wicked government people that want power because of demonic influence, not for the good of the public. They bow down and worship, and I'm not going to. I'm not going to kiss the ring. It's not going to happen, Lowell, not today or ever. And you don't have an enemy. You got a truth teller. He's my enemy. I'm not his enemy. And he's on the run. He can't do anything to me now. I double dog dare him too. It's called the First Amendment. I know the law. He's a public official. This is a matter of public concern. Let him sue me. I would love to go into court and argue in front of a jury why what I'm saying about him is not a lie. It's the truth. Defamation is false communication. Lionel Russell, this is the truth. You know it. Here's the paperwork to prove it. Documents. These are your people in government office that are causing you and your family not to be able to get home on the roads, get hit by a drunk driver. Look in the papers. They happen all the time. And these people ain't concerned about doing anything about it. They're advancing their own agenda. We're good people. We're going to hang out troopers. And troopers, hang on. Help is coming. God bless you all. Pray and do right and get past it. And the worst happens, they get you off the road for doing the right thing. Hey, it's not that bad living. I mean, it's almost puking to go into work every day, looking at the people that you're working, the people in state government that proclaim Christianity and Republican and are working hand in hand with Democrats that want to defund you. And that's not me. They do. I'm not against you. They'll tell you I am. They are against you. Lionel Russell's trying to get together a list of troopers so that he can get rid of you to advance his own career, his own rear. That's exactly what he's doing. He's a dirty man. Now, when I drove past that wreck because I didn't see it, and it's not my responsibility to see the unseeable, it's my responsibility to act as a reasonable, prudent officer under the circumstances. And I know everybody knows what it is now, but that's hindsight bias, and that's what he used against me. He says that I drove past it and seen somebody need help and intentionally, and that's not true. I arrested more people than anybody in the state, saving lives because I seen little children dead. My heart and my efforts were in the right place, better than any trooper in the state, but he didn't care. It advanced his career. It advanced his idiocy. He got promoted because of $500, and you can look it up. And so he doesn't want public safety. He wants to hang out troopers, and that's exactly what he's doing in his little reporting with Fox News, advancing his own agenda. He is on the Tennessee Board of Police Officer Standings and Training Commissions that decides whether or not police officers keep their jobs or not. He's lying. He went to the house of the person that he says I seen their car. A man died. He went to the father's house, and I didn't see it as a wreck. I thought it was a parked car. If that man would have wanted me to identify him, and he was already dead anyway, then he should have wrecked better than that. I wasn't responsible for how that wrecked. He wrecked in a manner that I couldn't see him. I mean, it doesn't even make sense what they're trying to say. They're trying to say that I should have seen that man and how he wrecked, but I didn't wreck the car, and if he'd done what I wanted, he would have stopped. But if he wanted me to see him, maybe he should have wrecked in a manner where I could have seen him. I mean, that is so absurd, to hold someone accountable for the actions of somebody else. Wow. I mean, and that's what Larry Russell do. And they lie to you. It's called false propaganda. He's full of false propaganda. He's full of himself. He's evil and wicked, and he's a dirty man. And I would be glad, sue me, Russell. I'll go into a courtroom and tell people and bring evidence of why you're where you're at, because the government said you're good, and you convince the people. The government convinces the people of who they want you to elect. And I'm telling you, if the government tells you to elect somebody, don't elect them. You look at Donald J. Trump. Did the government tell you to elect him? No, they were charged him with crimes all over the United States of America, more than Al Capone. The government said don't elect him. And look what he's done since he's been in office. He's not a perfect man, but that's one of the reasons why I voted for Trump, because the government said don't vote for him. Haslam said don't vote for him. Bill Haslam, a Republican in the state of Tennessee, said don't vote for Donald Trump in the 2016 election. Although millions of people all across the United States nominated Donald Trump as a Republican nominee, Bill Haslam in Tennessee, that Lowell Russell Honors helped him get promoted, not by qualifications, said that he could not recommend you vote for Donald Trump because of Donald Trump's character. Even though millions of people wanted him, Bill Haslam and the Tennessee legislature, people in the Tennessee government say we're arrogant, and they won't tell you that, but they're arrogant and they think they know more and they're better and they can overrun the will of the American people. And that's exactly what they do in the state of Tennessee. They overrun the will of the American people. Governor Bill Lee, he was called a rhino, Republican in name only, by the president. These people ain't part of a party. It's not about the party. It's not about Democrat and Republican. If you're a Democrat or Republican, I'm not against you. God bless you. I'm on your side. I'm on the populist side. These people in parties use the party to get promoted. They're really not Republican. They say they agree with the Republican agenda because they want to get advanced. If you run on a Republican ticket, you get promoted. If you run on a Democratic ticket, you get promoted, you get elected. If you run on the truth, you have almost no chance unless you can convince the public that the parties are a bunch of liars, and they are. So he ran on the Republican agenda, Lionel Russell, and now he's helping a Democrat pretty much defund the police by firing a bunch of them. That's what he's telling you he's doing on that. And it's not for your good. If troopers are making mistakes because of they're arresting innocent people, and some of them are, then that's not good. That's a bad thing. But when you put out information like he's doing, promoting to the public that you're going to go after troopers that do that, they're going to stop making arrests, period, because they don't want to make a mistake. And if they make a mistake, it's somebody guilty, and that's horrible. I get that. Start paying them money, apologize to them, make it well known, make it right, but they're still alive. If you don't make an arrest for drunk driving, if you don't make a lot of them, people get dead and they can't come back from the dead. So I would ask all troopers, do not stop making drunk driving arrests. Try to make the best decisions that you can, but it is right to enforce the law and protect the public. Now, he don't want to put that out, but that's science, that's numbers. I have a Master of Arts in sociology. He does not. He doesn't understand that it's science. It's been studied throughout several generations in a lot of countries, Scandinavia, Australia, and America, is that when you have strict enforcement of drunk driving laws, you arrest people and you take them to jail, that sends a message. And when you do that, it lowers the fatality rate. Less guilty people and less innocent people are killed. That's math, that's science, that's statistics, that's the way it works. When you don't have strict enforcement of drunk driving laws, innocent people get killed. When you put out information that you're going to go after troopers that make an honest mistake instead of retraining them, and that's the message he's sending, that's what he did to me, then you are promoting a message that is demonic and will kill thousands and thousands of people all across the United States. As a matter of fact, since he lied on me, and I know he lied, I was there, it's not a question, it is the truth. He lied on me. The government's got power. They got judges to go along with a lie that could have even killed them. And you look at him, he was involved in a wreck, got himself hurt, should have been paying attention. His best friend that says he's a girl, says he's his girlfriend, Stacey Heatherly, that says she's his best friend, that's now promoted to major. You look at her job performance. Did she ever make any mistakes about false drunk driving arrests? No, because she probably hardly ever made any to protect society, because it's not about your safety. It's about their power and their promotion, their paycheck that you're paying these people to live the high life. Are you living a high life? I'm telling you the truth. Unbridled news. It's against people in power. It's hard to go against the grain. There's a lot of haters out there. I get it. If you want me to go away, then you will have no help. Subscribe to the channel. I'm your help. Sent by God. I'm a truth teller. Trust me. Believe me. I know what I'm talking about. And I'm just not talking about a lot of false propaganda. I'm telling you the truth about these people. The hard, difficult truth. Now, I wish them well. I pray for their soul that they will do better. Whether they will or not, that's on them. But it's not on me to soften the blow, because if I do, then it's damage to you. And I'm trying to protect all of Tennesseans. And I'm just telling you about Lionel Russell. That's what he's trying to do. He's working with a Democrat to try to get rid of good troopers that are making honest mistakes. And if they are making honest mistakes, part of it, a huge part of it, is the upper echelon's lack of training them, and the upper echelon's putting pressure on them to get people off the road, whether or not they are drunk, because they don't care if troopers arrest innocent people. They just want a lot of them arrested because it sends out a message. And as long as they're not being arrested, I guarantee people in public power ain't going to get arrested for drunk driving. Even if they are, it happens very rarely. And when it does, they get a little slap on the wrist, get a free ride, and it's not anything significant. If you get arrested for drunk driving and you're a millionaire, and you won't get arrested for drunk driving if you're a millionaire, but if you did, your lawyer will get you completely out of it. And if you do get found guilty, you won't really do the jail time, and you'll get a slap on the wrist. The mass population gets a drunk driving arrest, and it can destroy your life. They're way too punitive on drunk driving. They need to give them the ride. It teaches them a lesson and be less punitive from a sociological perspective that he knows nothing about, because he never did anything except to advance his own career, his own future. And he's been pretty good in that, in the demonic world where the government's influenced by demonic influence to give people power. But I'm telling you the truth. I'm not demonically influenced. I'm influenced by the holy word of God, and I trust God. I have hope. He went to the man's house that lost a son and told him, without any investigations completed or anything, that the trooper made a mistake trying to paint me in a bad light. Not because I'd done anything wrong, because he had a vendetta against me because I filed an official complaint through their procedures against him. But you can't do that. You got to kiss the ring in the Tennessee Highway Patrol. If you see a supervisor do anything wrong, you ask Marty Nix, you better keep your damn mouth shut. They can sexually harass people. They can drive around on your paycheck and cause people to get killed and not do anything. Leave them alone. They're the brass. Where if you care about people, you care about seeing little children dead, and you do your job, and somebody's inhibiting you doing your job, protecting the public, then you go to official channels and you complain on them. But they won't let you do that. It's about the money, and he got promoted because of money. So let's look at his career in being advanced to even getting promoted. The government said, promote him. That's what the government told you. And they promoted you. Are you happy with him? He's working Republicans. He's working with a Democrat that wants to defund the police. We're going to talk about how he was promoted and some astonishing information about a child predator, somebody that was in Bredesen's campaign, chief of staff, that was involved in child pornography. Not Bredesen, excuse me, that was involved in Lamar Alexander's campaign, not Phil Bredesen. Phil Bredesen dismissed a bunch of sexual harassment complaints, shredded them. The correct name, for the record, don't sue me, Phil Bredesen, is Lamar Alexander's chief of staff was involved in child pornography. And so Lamar Alexander had somebody in his chief of staff, and this is important, listen to this. You won't hear this anywhere else, I'm proud of this. Lamar Alexander, the great Lamar Alexander, he's a great one, ain't he? I mean, he just walks on water. I mean, really? I mean, he's a human being, a very faulty human being. He is not a good judge of character. He had a chief of staff high in his office that was involved in child pornography. We're going to look at that, and I'm going to read you this, and then I'm going to tell you about who else he bragged on that helped them get promoted. So Lamar Alexander bragged on somebody so much he lifted him up to his chief of staff in his campaign, and they were a child pornographer. And then Lamar Alexander goes on to brag somebody else, and they get elected to state representative, Lionel Russell. So let's look at Lamar Alexander's credibility as far as lifting people up, and we'll show exactly what he did and exactly the result of what he did. But I wouldn't listen to Lamar Alexander. He's not a very good judge of character, is it? Now, that's not popular to say. Maybe I ought to go to Lamar Alexander, they named a highway after him, and say that stuff about him, because it's true. The people in the government lift up aren't necessarily lift up a bull. If I just made a new word, I'm just telling you the truth. Don't listen to people in government power. They lie to you every day, all day, for their own self-interest and their own benefit. Now I'm here to point it out, just spell it out, draw a straight line. It's not jumping through loops. It's pretty clear and pretty straight what I'm saying. So just follow the line, connect the dots. They're there, clear as a bell. I mean, when you have a Lamar Alexander, former governor of Tennessee, that has a chief of staff, and I'll show you black and white, that his chief of staff was arrested, involved in child pornography, then evidently Lamar Alexander, in some instances, and I think in a couple anyway, is not a very good judge of character. Lamar Alexander had power. A lot of people like him. A lot of people love him. He's very wrong about a lot. In this case, he's dead wrong. That's pretty serious. I'm telling Lamar Alexander, what you did is dead wrong for the mass population of Tennesseans. And I'm not just talking because somebody in power likes me. People in power don't like me because I speak against them. That's hard to do. They'll do bad, dirty, illegal, unconstitutional stuff against you. I'm fighting their unconstitutional stuff in a federal court of law. I'm a fighter. That's what I do. Join the program. That's for you. This ain't for them. I'm telling you, I'm tearing them up. I'm tearing them up with the truth. There's nothing wrong with telling the truth. Christian doesn't mean you go around and apologize to everybody for all the dirty that you do. If you're a Christian, you throw a rock and hit them in the head symbolically, and then when they're down, you cut their head off. That's what a Christian does against evil that harms your nation. These people harm Tennessee, and I'm here to fight them with a full frontal attack or however way it wins. I'm telling you about Lionel Russell. I know the man. He used to be my supervisor. I didn't last long under that dirty man because of people in power. And we're going to talk about somebody, Lamar Alexander, the great man that he is. Wow, really? He ought to apologize for what he did. I'm going to tell you what he did to help Lil Russell get illegitimate power. He is a criminal. He's a liar. He's a dirty man. He's a crook. He's a self-promoting idiot that runs on the Republican Party. He went to a convention, talked about what all the Republicans doing. If you're talking about what all the Republicans doing, then why are you taking a Democratic position of defunding the police? Why did you vote to keep a Democrat in office that did some of the same crooked things like he did in Nashville when they expelled a couple of black men on this Martin Luther King Day? Lionel Russell expelled 2 black legislators that did the same thing that a white female legislator did, and he voted to keep her, although she was guilty of the same offenses. As she got up on the floor with 2 black men that were protesting gun violence, and Lil Russell voted to expel the 2 black men and voted to keep the white woman. So you talk about on Martin Luther King Day, the prejudices involved there. He should have voted to expel every one of them, but he won't vote to expel a white woman Democrat. It's just the 2 black Democrats that he voted to expel. Remember that on Martin Luther King Day. I'm a truth teller. I know this stuff ain't pretty, but it is the truth. Defamation laws are designed for false communication. And I'll show you how they defame people, getting out of it not by truth, but by unprivileged false communication. Unprivileged is what they rely on because they got government power. They've given themselves forums to where they can lie, and you can't sue them because they bear that off, that if we lie in this forum, you can't sue us when we say it here. A lie was told on the legislative floor that is privileged, that even though it's a dirty lie, you can't sue them for it. And that's just like judicial privilege. They lie about people all the time behind the bench, and you can't sue them for stuff they do on the bench because it's privilege. So they privilege themselves to lie. But if you lie, then, oh, they got you. They're all over you. But what I'm saying is not, it's not unprivileged. It's not privileged. I can't say this but the reason that I can say it, and you ought to listen to it, and I know the law, doctor of jurisprudence, I've earned that, master of arts, and a business degree, and life lived. If you don't have an education, don't feel bad. I learned most of what I know from my uneducated mother. So don't feel bad. It just reinforces what I already know. A lot of people know exact same things that I know, and you don't have any education, and you say, yeah, what he's saying true. That's right. You don't have to have a JD or a Master of Arts or a business degree to know what I know. You already know it. I'm just telling you what you learned without an education. You're brilliant. That it is very true according to science. Lionel Russell scientifically is a dirty liar that's bought his way into power by liars, by people that shouldn't have self-promoted him. And we'll talk about that. This show's for you, Lionel Russell. Somebody send him a copy of this and tell him. And people think I'm bitter. I'm not bitter. I'm just telling you the truth. This is wonderful. It's called fighting. It's called throwing a punch. The little man punching the big dog. And it's effective. Trust me, it's very effective. And I'm not going to give away all my tactics. None of them illegal. They don't need to know. I'm not going to broadcast it, but I'm just telling you, I'm a fighter. And that's what I enjoy. It's not bitterness. If I don't have a fight, I'm not bitter. I go look for one. I'm bitter if I don't have a fight. If they were doing right, I might be bitter trying to find something wrong. But I found the wrong, trust me, and it is humongous and arduous task, but we can get it done. We have hope. And we're going to tell you about Lionel Russell and what Lamar Alexander said about him, privilege that is completely false. So hang on, let's see how many people got in here, and we'll tell you about that. We'll tell you about how he got promoted, and talk about a few other things, some information, some stuff that you never heard of that you need to hear for your own safety, health, protection, well-being. Unbridled news. You won't hear this anywhere else, any other channel. It's too dangerous to say. I pray God protects me. Pray for my safety, health, protection, well-being too. If you can, contribute to the channel. We'll put out more press. We'll put out more information that's true that other people are afraid to say. And quite frankly, I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I'm putting myself in a position because these people are dangerous and dirty as hell. They've already attacked me in numerous ways. But, I dodge and I roll and I go with the flow to try to avoid them completely annihilating me, and I'm still here now. So you might want to enjoy the show while you can. I don't know what will happen tomorrow. I'm not so arrogant that I think I'm invincible. That's part of the way to stay around, is to know you're not invincible, and I'm not. So pray for me, contribute to the channel, and hold on while you got this well documented. They might take my YouTube channel down. Not for saying anything dangerous or violent. I don't believe in violence. If you're for violence, you're for falsehood, you're for defamation, I'm not on your team. I don't agree with that stuff. That's ungodly. That is disseminating false communication, false witness. That's in the 10 Commandments. And I'm not doing that. I'm telling you, they disseminated false information against me, false witness against me. They violated one of the 10 Commandments, which is synonymous with murder. When you destroy somebody's credibility, they might as well be dead. I'm defending myself against their false defamation, their false witness, and defending you and telling you how it's dangerous to you. So we're going to talk some more about Lionel Russell and his brother got promoted based on his brother's a state legislator. I wonder if he ever makes a DUI arrest, let alone a false one. I mean, my goodness, they're out collecting high paychecks with sergeant's positions, doing nothing, living off you, telling you what a good job they're doing, what they're doing for you, when what they're doing for you is exact opposite of what they ought to be doing. I would encourage his brother, Lionel Russell's brother, to go out and look for dangerous people and stop them and arrest them and take them to jail instead of running around. My brother's a state legislator. I ain't got to do anything, because your county is dangerous now with you on the road. That's the truth. You don't like to hear that. And you think that what I say doesn't matter. Almost 2 million people, maybe at the end of the day, will have listened to me with the truth. I'm literally attacking, peacefully, legally, legitimately, people in power. Nobody else does this. Not like me. There's some close, but they don't get so close to the line, they get burned. It's hot where I'm at. Pay attention to the program, and we're going to talk about him, so many people I got watching, and talk about how Lamar Alexander made a huge mistake one time in promoting his secretary high up in his command in his campaign that was arrested for child pornography, and then another about somebody else that he has a high opinion of that might not be a good person either. I'm not saying they're involved in child pornography. I'm just saying Lamar Alexander's opinion of people is not worth very much if you consider what he's done in the past and what he's doing now. So let's see how many people got in here. Thank you all so very much for watching. Yeah, we got over 100 people in here. Thank you all so much. So we're going to sit down here and read some of the paperwork that I have got here, and talk about talk about Lamar Alexander and his promotion of Lionel Russell. So Lamar Alexander, chief of staff. Now this is one they name a road after, and it's the same road that a crash just happened at with Tennessee Highway Patrol and a Maryville police officer just last year while the world was watching in J.D. Vance's motorcade. So we have the Highway Patrol, the troopers don't get the training that they're supposed to get. There was a wreck just last night involving a Tennessee Highway Patrol pursuit. Somebody was doing 70 and a 45. In the pursuit I was in, the person was doing 69 in a 40. So the pursuit I was in, the person was even more dangerous than the pursuit they were in yesterday. But it doesn't matter your lawful actions. But the pursuit last night was in Memphis. And we're going to get back to Lamar Alexander, but this is important. The pursuit last night, troopers, untrained, and now it's not their fault. I'm on the side of people that are on the road risking their life. Untrained like they should be. And I went through their training. I'm not talking as a novice. I went through 2 Tennessee Highway Patrol training academies. I know how the training academies do. They don't teach troopers how to do their job. God blessed me with a prior training academy, the Tennessee State Law Enforcement Training Academy, prior to me going to those 2 academies. So I've been to 3 law enforcement training academies. Graduated, signature signed by the administrator of the academies, given a police officer license, well trained in law enforcement. 2 of the THP academies. So I know what I'm talking about. Been out there, stayed out there, had to stay overnight, passed all the physical activities, passed every test, got advanced level training in law enforcement. So I know what I'm talking about. Worked the road for 18 years, never got promoted because I didn't have enough money to buy my way into public office. I should have been promoted because I protected people on the road, but that wasn't my goal. My main goal was to protect the public. God's calling, protect the public. Anybody involved in death or semblance of that is probably demonically influenced. Anybody involved in activities that protect human life, then or attempts to, then they're probably influenced by love of God and compassion for society. Look at my record. So Lamar Alexander's chief of staff, Ryan Larkskin, was arrested at his Washington, D.C. home after his residence was searched as part of a federal child pornography investigation. Alexander said he was stunned, surprised, and disappointed. Of course he said that. I didn't know nothing about it. Well, then you promoted him all the way to your chief of staff, Lamar Alexander, former governor of Tennessee. So evidently you're not a very good judge of character, are you? You didn't interview him enough, didn't talk to him enough. You did something wrong. I mean, I'm just surprised. Just detach yourself from the situation. His chief of staff, Lamar Alexander, the road in Maryville. And I'm not saying he's a bad man. I'm just saying he's bad at telling about people's character. Fact. His chief of staff arrested for child pornography, went on to commit suicide, God rest his soul. But a horrendous crime. Almost everybody believes in sociology that anything abusing a child is wrong. That's something we can all agree on. That's what his chief of staff is doing. Evidently, and he can attach himself all he wants to, Alexander is not a good judge of character. He should have done better than that. It says that he was surprised and disappointed. Well, he should have not been surprised. He should have known. Shouldn't have hired somebody like that. Should have done better interview process and immediately removed Larson from his staff. Well, it's a little too late. Under the circumstances, he said Larson could no longer fulfill his duties. You think what a professional political thing to say. He could no longer perform his duties. How about I apologize to the public? I made a huge mistake in my judgment of character. But Lamar Alexander and his arrogance, he's got a law degree. Of course, his matters because he's in with the people in power, and I'm not. Mine doesn't matter because I'm nothing to them. And let me tell you, you're nothing to them. They don't care about you. You think Lamar Alexander was worried about the children that his chief of staff mistreated in his child pornography? No, he wasn't worried about it. He was worried about his public perception of how things went. Did he say anything about he was so sorry about the children? No, he said, I didn't know, protect and defend himself. That's the first thing. They don't care about you. They really don't care about you. Listen to what they say. Write it down. Think about it. Do they care about you? Hell no. They could care less about you. They're worried about their career, their power. You know, that's what Lamar Alexander is worried about. And the reason why I bring up Lamar Alexander promoting a child person that was involved in child pornography to his chief of staff, highest position. Later on, Lamar Alexander, I mean, he's a great judge of character. If Lamar Alexander says something good about somebody, he said something good about his chief of staff, promoted him all the way chief of staff, thought highly of him. So if Lamar Alexander says something good about somebody, I should listen. Wow, he's such a great judge of character, wonderful human being. Wow, whoever he says we're going to vote we're going to vote into a state legislator, right? Well, later on, let's look at this. I'm just telling you the truth. It's not pretty truth. It's the real truth. Truth you need to know. So let's look at Lamar Alexander. Let's look at Lamar Alexander. It says here that Lamar Alexander, and I'll tell you about the crash. Alexander spoke on the Nashville, Tennessee, U.S. Lamar Alexander tells the story of Lieutenant Corporal Frankie Watson killed in Afghanistan, and that's sad. And his mentor, Tennessee Highway Patrol Sergeant Lowell Russell, who recovered from critical injuries after being while on duty on I-40 in West Knoxville. He quotes Alex Haley's line, "Find the good and praise it." Well, how about find the evil and fight it? How about that? They don't like that. That's not pretty and beautiful. I mean, it's not the prosperity gospel. I mean, let's find the evil and get rid of that so that we can have a positive attitude. But we need to look at the evil. That's, quite frankly, it's here. We're in a fallen world. It exists. It's my calling. Listen, I'll tell you about the evil, and if we overcome the evil, then we can have prosperity. Until we deal with the evil, until we find the evil to annihilate it, we're not going to be able to find the good and praise it. So Alexander spoke on the House floor of Tennessee positively about Lionel Russell and praised Lowell Russell on the House floor after he had a wreck when he was with Highway Patrol. Did not mention the fact that he should have been paying attention, that he was wrong, and didn't mention that fast. Didn't mention that. He just mentioned that and here's the while he was on the legislative floor, here's what he said about Lowell Russell. He said, "Another law enforcement officer, Tennessee Highway Patrol Sergeant Lowell Russell, helped raise Frankie and was a devoted friend and mentor." Isn't that a little bit weird? I mean, a single man raising somebody that's in the military, I just don't understand that. Jane Chelin told her about Frankie. He said that Frankie's love of serving the Nashville Police Department was great. He told her about Frankie's dedication to honoring his state and his country, and he was killed in the military. And that is such an honorable person to do that. Then in March, Sergeant Lowell Russell was critically injured in a collision on Interstate 40 in West Knoxville when a tractor trailer hit his squad car as he sat on the shoulder finishing up some paperwork after a traffic stop. Earlier this month, Lowell was discharged from the University of Tennessee Medical Center to continue his recovery in a rehabilitation facility. So this is Lamar Alexander saying this stuff, bringing this proclamation on the Tennessee House floor, praising Lowell Russell. Lamar Alexander also had a chief of staff, Ryan Larskin, who was arrested for investigated for having child pornography investigation. He later killed himself. So that was Lamar Alexander's chief of staff. And now he's on the House floor. Lamar Alexander thought highly of Ryan Larsky. Now he's on the House floor where you can't even sue somebody for defamation on the House floor. It is privileged. They're allowed to say whatever they want to on the House floor. They could literally get up there and lie about somebody, and you couldn't sue them because that's privilege. They mark off that area, say we're in power, and we can say whatever we want as long as we're on the House floor in this area. They mark off the judicial branch and say we can lie on you however we want to behind a judge's desk, and you can't sue us. This is privilege. So defamation is unprivileged, false communication disseminated to at least a third person that tends to lower somebody's standing in the community, can cause other people not to want to deal with them. So if you say stuff behind a judicial branch that's false, it's privileged, you can't sue for defamation. If you say stuff on the House floor that's false, you can't sue people because it's privileged. You can say whatever you want to. If I say something false, I don't have any privilege. So I'm not saying anything false. I'm saying stuff that's true. So Lamar Alexander praised Lionel Russell on the House floor. Privilege. Lamar Alexander also praised, by effect, his child pornographer, Ray Larskin, who later went on. So Mr. Lamar Alexander's opinion of people is kind of tainted if he thinks highly of a child pornographer. And I'm not saying Lil Russell is a child pornographer. I'm saying he's pretty weird and disgusting. And he is not a true Republican. He works with Democrats. He's a rhino trying to defund police and hanging out the lowest in society instead of worrying about the top and funding officer training. And Lowell is beloved by his community. And, I, as a person, as a Christian, I love my enemies, but Lowell is an enemy of mine. Not because I've chosen to do anything against him, because he's chosen to be an enemy of mine, and I have to throw him out of the temple, just like Jesus did, which is exactly what I'm doing. It's the Christian thing to do to protect society. So Lowell was praised. He said, Lowell is beloved by his community. A Facebook page dedicated to prayers for Sergeant Lowell Russell, and pray for him. It's filled with loving prayers for Lowell. So the people in the government, Lamar Alexander, who doesn't have good credibility as far as people's character, is telling you Lowell Russell's a good person. And this is Lamar Alexander. And he's already made a bad decision about somebody's character. And I'm telling you, he made a bad decision about Lowell Russell's character. Lowell Russell has no character, self-promoting. He doesn't care about anybody else, dangerous for himself. So I'm actually helping him. So Tennessee General Assembly passed a resolution to honor Lowell. So Lamar Alexander, the same man that promoted a pornographer to chief of staff, a child pornographer to chief of staff, made a resolution on the Tennessee House floor to honor Lowell Russell. And then he later went on to get elected to state representative. So you have here not a failure to communicate. They're communicating clearly. A person who promoted a child pornographer to chief of staff is now telling you, and I'll keep saying it, it's the truth, and he hates me to say it, is now on the House floor making a resolution, the same promotion, making a resolution for Lowell Russell to be, what does it say here? This is passed a resolution to honor Lowell Russell. And then Lowell Russell goes on because the government said he was good. That's Lamar Alexander is the government. He was in the legislature. He was former governor. So the governor of the government tells you to honor Lowell Russell. They put up signs on 411, naming a highway after him like he's some kind of war hero killed in a war. That benefits him, a yard sign, and praising him, making a resolution to honor Lowell Russell. Lowell Russell shouldn't be honored. He's not an honorable person. He's a lying dirtbag that caused hundreds of Tennesseans all across the state of Tennessee, all across America, quite frankly, to get dead. Is what he did. But he lied on me, took the leading trooper off the road. Look at the math in DUI arrest. The fatality rate since Lowell Russell, he's not honorable. He's a liar. Since he took me off the road and lied about it. He's got nowhere near the education level that I've got. He's got nowhere near the qualifications. A legislator, a lawmaker without a law degree. Wow. And I have a law degree, but I can't perform functions for y'all because of Lionel Russell. So the government, doesn't matter how hard you work, what you deserve. People in the government are telling you, regardless of deserve and honor and qualifications and what you've done in the past, they put you where they want you to because of power. And it's not power that benefits you, it's power that benefits them. They're very self-serving. They don't want somebody out here saying that. But I'm saying what is the truth under God. I honor the 10 Commandments. And ask God to help me. I'm a truth teller. They're not. They're liars. They violate the 10th commandment. He's violating the 10th commandment, trying to deter troopers from making a mistake. causing the fatality rate to advance. When I was on the road, the fatality rate was under 1,000. They praised last year as being lower in fatalities than previous years. It's still above 1,000 people dead on Tennessee roadways. They're praising themselves because it's skyrocketed, but it's down a little bit from the skyrocket. Wow, how to play with numbers. It's still over 1,000. When I was on the road in the state of Tennessee, this is fact. I know they're defamation. They're full of lies. They're full of self-serving stuff. My service was life-risking on the road, boots on the ground, arresting people by myself at night, protecting Tennesseans. His proclamation is self-serving to help him get in power because he's going to serve the people in power. He doesn't serve you, doesn't care about you, and I don't care about how many people like it. This isn't a popularity contest. I ran for office. They caused me not to win because people in government power ran me down. But you've seen, you can look at some of my videos, how I talk to them because I'm not afraid of them. That's what scares the hell out of them. It's on. You know, the truth is on, and I'm getting it out. So Lamar Alexander praises a child pornographer, allegedly. He killed himself, I think, before he ever got convicted. Ryan Larskin, all the way to chief of staff. So he thinks highly of a child pornographer. He goes to the Tennessee state floor, praises Lionel Russell, asks for a proclamation to honor Lil Russell. Lamar Alexander. So is he a good judge of character? I'm a good judge of character. I wouldn't. This person was a dirtbag that's involved in child pornography. Lil Russell, although not involved in child pornography, is involved in the death of children by his policies that are going to get rid of a lot of good troopers for making honest mistakes and pressure put on them by upper level people that ought to be fired and upper level people that aren't training them right. It's not the responsibility of troopers to run the academy. They need to train troopers how to make better decisions in drunk driving arrests, but he won't talk about that because he won't run down Matt Perry that promoted false arrest. In paper, in a document, he said that even if you're not guilty of a criminal offense, they'll violate your rights and you'll go for the ride even if you get out of it later, knowing that you're violating their First Amendment and their Fourth Amendment rights. These troopers are making honest mistakes on the road, doing the very best that they can, not intentionally making false arrests. I don't believe. It's a difficult decision to make, and it's a decision that has to be made for your safety, protection, and well-being. The consequences are death if they make a wrong decision, possibly. And if they stop making DUI arrests, which is what they're going to do after what Lil Russell said, it's going to be more horrific. You have a better chance. Imagine you're driving down the road and some drunk comes over the lane and smashes into you head on, and you suffer before you die, knowing that a drunk driver's done that, wondering where law enforcement at. Law enforcement is at the place where Lil Russell put them. They're not going to touch anybody for fear of making a mistake, getting it wrong, losing their job, and getting defamed. They should promote high levels of drunk driving arrest, promote enforcing the law the best they can, give them leeway into making mistakes, and if they make mistakes, re-educate them, retrain them, give them the tools they need, fund them to the troopers on the road that are fighting the battle with their life in danger, not politicians that got promoted for mammon, for money, that are sorry dirtbags that played on somebody's emotion at a death and went to somebody's house and lied on a trooper. And troopers, if you don't think that man will lie on you today, under him and his best friend, Major Stacy Headley, his girlfriend, she calls him his girlfriend. I didn't say that. That tells you a lot about his character. If you think they're good for you, and I'm not, then keep on believing that. Most of y'all surreptitiously, and I get it, understand the program and going along. They've gotten rid of a lot of great supervisors at the captain level and higher in the Highway Patrol that were for your safety. That dirtbag organization they're running now is dangerous for you and dangerous for Tennesseans. And you're the good person on the road, even if you make a mistake. And I would encourage you to get out and don't tell them, vote against these dirtbags. Get Lil Russell out of the legislature. He's got no place in government service. He belongs in a jail cell, locked up. Society should be protected from him in the stuff that he's doing. So that's the truth. People don't like to say that. He's pretty powerful. Come and get me, Lord. I double dog dare you. I'm ready anytime you are. I got a right to self-defense, and I'm not threatening you. We can sit down and have a little discussion about your lies and maybe how you ought to correct what you did. It's not enough to go around praising people. He praises me to this day now after he's already done his damage. That's not enough. Correct what you did wrong. You're not getting out of what you did. You're not getting out of a murder because you're being nice to the family. It doesn't work that way. That's not justice. You're not getting by with what you did, how dirty you did, and how much mass tragedy you caused on the state of Tennessee. It's not bitter. I enjoy it. When I was on the road, I was fighting death and destruction on the road better than any trooper in the state. Numbers don't lie. It's not self-promoting. It's just absolute truth. My heart was in it. God sent to do that. They just changed the fight. I wasn't bitter at drunk drivers. That's what I did. That was my function on the planet. Angels have functions. People have functions. God designs people in certain ways. Now my function is fighting you, you dirtbag, and it's on. And that's the fun in it, to get rid of dangerous criminals. So he was promoted because of money, Cooley, and now he got elected to state representative because the government lied to you. They told you he's a good person. No, he's not. I know him. He's a liar. He used the death to facilitate his evil will. Right now, he's trying to get rid of good troopers that are making mistakes. He never made a mistake about drunk drivers because he never made any arrests. He never did anything. They need to be gotten off the roads by the truckloads. More of them need to be arrested that are legitimately drunk, not less. If you're on the road, a driver comes over the road, hits you head on, and you suffer before you die, you look at his best friend, Major Stacey Heatherly. She created an environment. She's over the highway patrol. She could have promoted honest, good, safe drunk driving arrest and getting these people off the road. Instead, she lied on me and helped get rid of me, the leading trooper in the state, that created an environment. I might have got the drunk driver that hit her head on. She created an environment where she was damaged, and she's a hero because she created the environment. She's a state trooper, a major, a captain before that, a lieutenant and sergeant before that. She could have promoted me and helped me, gave me the tools to do even better job, but they won't do that. They are for their self-promotion. She helped her buddy get rid of me, and now she's a major. You think she's going to stand behind you, troopers? I mean, I'd listen to me. And I'm not telling you to fight and be surreptitious about it. You got a right to be quiet about who you vote for. Get rid of these dirtbags. There's a 2020 election coming up in the governor's race. And I'll look into it, and I'll try to give a good opinion of who I think you ought to vote for. Maybe none of them. But we should vote. The main thing is go to the polls and vote these people out of office. So they just had a wreck just last night. The highway patrol. They're not well trained. They were in pursuit of a car, and the car hit an innocent person. In the wreck that in the pursuit I was in, the person ended up crashing into a tree, hurt herself, didn't hurt an innocent person, no innocent person. So this wreck just last night in Memphis was troopers in pursuit of somebody doing 70 in a 45. The pursuit I was in, they were doing 69 in a 40 faster than this. The troopers is in Memphis, got in pursuit of somebody, and the person wrecked into an innocent person. And the troopers got on the scene, and there was an innocent person that got hit by the person they were pursuing. Troopers got on the scene, and they jerked an innocent person out of a car that had a broken neck, broken ribs, and arrested them, thinking they were the person they were pursuing, even making decisions that hurt innocent people. And that happened just last night in Memphis, Tennessee. All over the state, they are making these horrific decisions, and it's because of lack of training. We got the wrong guy, crash victim on confusion after THP high-speed chase. This was just yesterday, where they made a mistake in Memphis about they were in pursuit of a car. The car that they were in pursuit of hit this innocent person. A Memphis man caught in the middle of a crash is recovering after a Missouri fleeing from Tennessee Highway Patrol. So they arrested the innocent person. that had a green arrow, and the person that was fleeing from THP crashed into him. So THP got there. They were in pursuit of him. They arrested the innocent person that had a broken neck, jerked him out of the car, handcuffed him, and later realized he was the wrong person after he was in the hospital, and apologized to him. They're arresting innocent people. In Maryville, in J.D. Vance's protective detail, Tennessee Highway Patrol, worldwide, J.D. Vance, everybody looking at it on the world stage, the Tennessee Highway Patrol, under Major Stacey Heatherly and Lionel Russell. He wants to get involved in the Highway Patrol. He can straighten it out. He couldn't protect himself when he was on the road. Neither can Major Stacey Heatherly. She was involved in a wreck that took her off the road, should have taken her off the road, but she was still working when she was on comp time, and create an environment for herself. And this is the people you got running your state law enforcement agency. Had a wreck in Maryville. 2 police officers ran into each other. Tennessee Highway Patrol trooper and a Maryville officer. So how do you reconcile that with the public was at fault? Good luck to that. They're still investigating. They're trying to figure out their angle about how they can figure out how the officers did something right. And it's not the officers. It's the training. It's at the top. They can just do how they're trained. And they're not getting the training they need because of the upper echelon. It's not the people working the road. They're risking their life. They're the ones getting hurt and damaged by their lack of good training. It's not them. Officers on the road, I'm on your side. And they will hang you out to dry. You're not getting the training that you need. It's not your fault. Do the best you can. Pray and do right, and it'll work out. So they got in a wreck in Maryville. They still haven't decided what happened in that wreck, trying to figure it out, rig it, maybe make it go away. But a THP trooper ran into a Maryville motor officer on a world stage. Wow. How are you going to reconcile that? Just last night in Memphis, troopers in pursuit arrested the wrong person. The department is in a mess, and it is run by Lowell Russell's friend, Major Stacey Heatherly, that is a lying con that uses your money to advance her career. She used your money to call a state trooper while she was drunk to bring her whole party home after a party while she was drunk at Calhoun's on the river here in Knoxville. She should have been fired for that. Should have been prosecuted for using state funds. She is Larry Russell's friend, said it herself, said he's her girlfriend. She spoke at an event, put out a flyer that says that she retired from the 11th 75th Division of the Army National Guard. Stealing valor, said she had military service, retired from the military when she has never served a day. So you got using your tax money for her drunken parties, saying she's in the military, stealing valor, committing a criminal offense, using that to speak at a forum, increasing her legitimacy when she never served a day in the military, was in a crash, the environment created by her, she's law enforcement, over the area that allowed a drunk driver. Had she not been evil and got me off the road, the environment would have been safer. So she created an environment that endangered herself, was hit head on in a crash. While she was in the crash, she was on compensation time, specific rules for compensation time. She was supposed to be off duty, not in a uniform, and not supervised. She could have applied for special assignment, which would have stripped her of her being a captain, but she chose to violate the rules because she wouldn't take a lower level position, because you can work on comp time if you're not able to perform your duties, like you could work at the driver's license station where you don't have to have a physical job, but she wouldn't do that. So she literally worked while she was supposed to be on compensatory, getting paid through the comp time, not supposed to work. She wasn't physically capable of performing the job according to a doctor, because you're not supposed to be out on the road protecting the public unless you're physically capable of doing that. So she was violating that rule, supervising other troopers, physically showing up on the scene of serious incidents, violent incidents. This incident here in Knox County where a suspect allegedly fired at a trooper, fired shots, dangerous to the public. She showed up on the scene while she was on compensation time, not qualified, not supposed to be in uniform, not supposed to be supervising. If she wanted to work, she should have been at the Driver's License Bureau where she could perform that job. And she intentionally, and it's on the, checked into records, paid for records through assistance. If you can help me contribute so that we can get more records to expose these people that are violating the rules and endangering your safety. So she wasn't qualified to be out physically, to be out on duty supervising. She showed up on the scene at a serious incident, wasn't qualified before she was medically in violation of the rules. And she put out a YouTube video before she was released from a doctor in February, on February the 6th, on a YouTube video supervising, talking about the horrific storm and how she was supervising it, and she wasn't even supposed to be on duty. So you got all these offenses that she's committed. She is friends with a lawmaker. So these lawmakers can commit any offense, any crime, can do any damn thing they want to. And I don't mind that. But when it hurts your safety, the mass populace, and when it endangers you, causes you death and sorrow, and it even endangers them, quite frankly, I'm doing them a favor, then something needs to be done about it. What needs to be done about it is, and this is what they hate about me, go vote. Let's all get together, vote. Voters of truth enraged, and attack these people peacefully at the voting booths. Get together, call your friends, tell them about this channel. Tell them this is an election year to go vote. And even if they vote for the wrong person, and I don't want them to do that, it's better than not voting, because you're showing these people in office that we're paying attention and we know something's wrong, and we're going to show up in mass droves and show you who's the boss. You're not the boss, Lil Russell. You lied to get it elected. You had a person that promoted a child pornographer saying you're a good person and said a child pornographer was a good person. Not a very good person to judge character. I'll judge your character. I've seen you. I've met you. You're not a good person. You ought to apologize for what you've done and make it right and turn your heart over to the Lord Jesus Christ and ask him to forgive you for the wrong that you've done. I don't know your heart. I know your actions. So Stacey Heatherly who has been helping plan the local event. She planned an event using a position of high power for Lil Russell getting involved in a wreck. How about little children that get involved in a wreck? So they out helping them? No, the power's helping the power. They're not helping you. They're out for themselves. It seems like a good thing to be helping Lil Russell, a trooper that got hurt on the road. And that is good. Help him. That's right. That's absolutely. Why don't they do that for little children that are hurt? That's what I was out doing, getting drunk drivers off the road so they wouldn't hurt little children. They don't mention that. They're not out having a concert for some little children that was hurt by a drunk driver. That Lil Russell and Major Stacey Heatherly created the environment where they could function in government, that be held accountable to their ineptness and their wrong and their criminal acts while they're in government. And they do that. That's not defamation. That's the truth. So she hired with your money, hired a expert witness to lie against me, to facilitate a lie. Heavily is 70% of the fundraiser of the concert will go to back Lil Russell and his family, with the other 30% basically going to cover the funds split. So she created a raffle. I call him, this is talking about Larry Russell. These are people that run your government. They're trying to get rid of troopers under them. They ought to get rid of the upper echelon. I call him my girlfriend just because he's such a good buddy, said Heatherly. It's very emotional for me to be able to help him in this way. Why don't she help the mass population and do her job? I told you about all the things she did wrong. So you can see she calls Lil Russell. So they're in it together. You think Lil Russell will try to do something to get rid of her that's called mass tragedies on Tennessee roadways? No, they work in conjunction, not to provide for your safety, to provide and maintain their illegitimate power in government service. That's what they do. Unbridled news. You won't hear it anywhere else, attacking the power. It's called the First Amendment. It's a wonderful thing. They're trying to take it away from me with assistance from the governor. So thank you all so very much for joining me. This has been a broadcast of Charles Van Morgan, Unbridled News. You won't hear anywhere else. Fund the channel. This doesn't get facilitated without help from the mass populace. They're against me. We are attacking them in court, legally, legitimately. It makes them mad as hell to be sued. I hope that a court will let us drag them into court and tell the truth. And we filed, you can check online, Charles Van Morgan versus Tennessee Board of Law Examiners. I'm very guarded in what I say about that, as it can be used against me If so the things I said before, that was then, this is now, and I'll be very guarded in what I say about that lawsuit. I have filed a lawsuit. I can say that. My allegations, I believe, are 100% correct. I'm trying to get them into court to adjudicate it, to help me be able to get my law license, because they've tried to ban me in effect from ever having my law license illegitimately, even though they give law licenses to people that are involved in sexual offenses with minors. I mean, they're all about that, I guess. So help me fund my lawsuit, fund the channel if you can. If you can't, pray for Charles Van Morgan, my safety. Pray for yourself, pray for your family, pray for your children. Help us facilitate our rights, the First Amendment, so that we can spread the gospel of Christianity. So this has been another broadcast of Charles Van Morgan, telling you the truth about Lionel Russell. This show's for you. I bet he don't like it. And we'll be back on here maybe tomorrow. Showed up on a holiday. Give us credit for that. And Martin Luther King Day. That was then. Martin Luther King in the 60s, 70s. And this is today. Let's have a revolution today at the voting booth. And let's let people look back at the vote movement. Voters of truth enraged. And then they can look back on it as voters of truth encouraged that your vote can make a difference. Let's use today as a memorial to Martin Luther King and the good that he done, as a knowledge of the fact that that was then, that was history. Let's advance on history and facilitate this movement of vote, peacefully voting, truth telling, and retake our government in our favor, the mass populace. You smart people that are tired of being lied to. If you're tired of being lied to, subscribe to the channel, support it. And as I always say, may God bless you. And I pray, saying a prayer for all my supporters and even my detractors. May God punish you for your lies and cause you to help the public. And God loves you, and I do too. Until next time, this has been Charles Van Morgan.